Hello, everyone, and welcome to High Growth Careers and You. My name is Ole Kagan. I'm the Community Engagement Coordinator for LA County Library. Before we get started with today's program, I'd like to do a little bit of housekeeping and then introduce our presenter to you. As you can see, the microphones and videos for attendees are disabled for this event. And the reason for that is that so you can pay attention to the presenter without distractions. Now, that isn't to say that we don't welcome your questions. We absolutely do. So if you do have questions throughout the presentation, please put them in the Q&A portion of your screen. It should be on the bar at the bottom. Hit Q&A and put in your question, either including your name or anonymously. We welcome it either way. If you'd like to listen to the presentation on the phone, you do have that option, and the number is on the slide. It is 669-900-9128, the meeting code 876-5033-4187, and the passcode 098025. And now I would like to introduce our presenter for this morning's event. Christian Villanueva is a workforce development administrator with the newly created Department of Economic Opportunity. And he'll be talking to you today about high growth careers, how to assess the careers that you'd be good for, and much, much more. And with that, I bring to the stage Christian Villanueva. Christian, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Oleg, and a pleasure to do this again. I know we've collaborated in the past for the Work Ready program, which is a great program that the library hosts, and we think it's great for the community. And there's definitely a natural cross-section with our America's Job Centers of California across the county. So give me a moment, I will get my screen up. And hopefully,
looks good.
Was sharing the correct one. All right, so welcome to High Growth Careers and You. Again, as Oleg mentioned, my name is Christian, and I am part of the newly created Department of Economic Opportunity. This department is so new that we don't even have a slide deck template yet. You can still see our old department name, which is Workforce Development, Aging, and Community Services. That was actually just split into as of July 1st. So literally last Friday, this is the first full, or I guess as full as it can be, week where we are the Department of Economic Opportunity. So we'll be talking, luckily though, regardless of the department split, we will still be offering many of the great services that we still offer through our job centers. And generally, as far as the public, even though there will be improvements in the system and ongoing just additions and all these different things, we'll still be able to offer some of those core services that we've been able to offer throughout, our time, through the America's Job Centers of California. So when Oleg approached us, he was asking about a presentation having to do with high growth careers. So there's actually a really natural crossover for that, because we actually assigned with the county, with approval from our Workforce Development Board and with insight from the Board of Supervisors, we've assigned high growth sector industries. Now, these industries were assigned pre-pandemic, but for the most part, these are the industries that even in recovery and beyond recovery, these are the industries that we expect to always have a very strong presence here in Los Angeles County. Our job centers know this, and we have continuously trained them and informed them of these industry sectors, and have always emphasized these as the industries of preference. Obviously, we can't necessarily force anyone to take a job in a certain industry or in a certain occupation. We always want to leave it up to the customer, but we do try to inform the customers at our AJCCs, and our AJCC staff tries to inform the customers that these are the high growth industries, because simply put, these are going to be the ones that provide the most growth opportunity in the future in 5, 10, 15 years, that are going to have the most jobs available, and that are going to ultimately have those high paying jobs. These are the industries that provide career pathways and eventually lead to self-sufficient wages. So they're listed here. Construction is a major one. There's billions of dollars in construction projects across the county. So as you know, select manufacturing is another one. This is quite interesting because manufacturing as a whole, there has been some decline, but within LA County select manufacturing, we're thinking of aerospace. Big companies such as Northrop Grumman are located here. A lot of the aerospace and space tech is located here in LA County, and that's only growing, especially with the emphasis on, on space travel and all of that. Trade and logistics. We have the Port of Los Angeles and the Port of Long Beach down here in LA County. And so trade and logistics, it's the busiest port, lots of the imports coming over from China. So there are a lot of opportunities for that. Entertainment and infotech. I mean, this is Hollywood, so that should go obvious. Health services is a major industry actually in many different areas because health services are always going to be required. And that was only a light was shined on that given the recent pandemic. And then of course, leisure and hospitality, though it did take a big hit during the pandemic, it is an industry and it will remain. And as tourism and everything increases and things open up, this will always be a major industry for LA County. We'll get to the question. Okay, so obviously industries are nice. So one thing that I do want to actually point out is that industries are industries that industries define the area that the business operates in. The difference between an industry and an occupation are more well known as the job titles. So those are the actual jobs. So you could have an occupation that spans across multiple industries. For instance, like an accountant is an occupation, but each of these industries have companies that require an accountant. So there is, just want to make that distinction because that is a difference. So there are going to be occupations out there that transfer very well across these different industries. But the industries are the sectors in which the business operates. Now with this is with the occupations that we have. You're adding in these occupations, and these are the general occupations that you could see here in the high growth industry sectors. So in construction, you have laborers, carpenters, electricians, painters, plumbers. In select manufacturing, you can have assemblers or fabricators, machine operators and tenders, inspectors, dental lab technicians, and electrical assemblers. Trade and logistics, truck driving, bus driving, auto service technicians, electric bus technicians, entertainment and infotech, a lot of PA assistants, but also just general laborers, sales reps, office clerks for those big companies, some lighting techs, audio visual techs, health services. Some are more broad. Certified nursing assistant is a great entry point into the industry, but then there's also medical assistant. And then, becoming a certified phlebotomy tech, pharmacy tech, dental assistant. And then leisure and hospitality could be your service managers, your general maintenance workers, anyone in bookkeeping, as I said, the accountants, payroll clerks, and then also sales reps. So again, these are just a few of the occupations. That's not to say that these are the only occupations that are in these industries, nor are these the only occupations that are in these industries, but these are just some of based on some of the very high level data, these are some of the more popular occupations within these industries. Okay, so I do see a couple of questions in the Q&A. Auto mechanics counted or under construction? No, but actually it looks like auto service technician under trade and logistics. It's actually just under, they're under trade and logistics. And then I see another question. Were these industries ordered from largest to smallest? No, these industries were not ordered from largest to smallest. These are just the industries that we've assigned. This is generally, honestly, in listing these out, there is not necessarily a rhyme or reason to it, but these are the industries that we target here in Los Angeles County. And I'll keep an eye on the Q&A just to make sure that we are good on that. Okay. So how do the AJCCs intersect with these high growth industry sectors? I mean, you might know the occupations, you might know the industries, but how do you find out more information? How can you utilize our AJCCs? Well, before we even get into the AJCCs, there's a lot of stuff that you can do on your own. So you might want to find a career through a self-assessment. Maybe you just don't even know where to start. And so something that we actually require of our staff at the AJCCs when enrolling in our workforce programs is we want to make sure that everyone is assessed. So there's a great website called the California Career Zone. This will give you all sort of different areas. It's all free, and it'll help you kind of navigate yourself. Even though we've talked about the industries and the occupations, you might not even be at that stage where you're actually just thinking, well, what exactly is it that I'd like to do? Or what is it that I'm good at? You can do a quick assessment. And that's just, again, like a 5-minute assessment. It's about 60 questions. And it really just asks you, do you like to do this? Do you like to do that? And then based on that, it'll kind of give you a score breakdown, broken down into the categories you see here. Are you realistic? Do you like working, do you like working with your hands? Are you investigative? Do you like to problem solve? Are you artistic? Are you social? Are you enterprising, or are you conventional? And again, it's not just you're one or the other or the other. It gives you scores to kind of gauge where you're at across these different areas. Again, quick test. Definitely encourage you to take it all and explore and play around there. You could do an interest profile filer, which will take it a little bit a step further and actually show you how some of your interests relate to the actual world of work. So what occupations, and that's where you'll start to get some of that labor information and that labor market information. You could do a skills profiler, which is just going to help you take an accounting of all your skills. I think it's very rare, and I know this was especially rare, something in my case when I was laid off about 8 years ago, 9 years ago, is I hadn't really taken an accounting of my skills, and that these kinds of tools help me do that, because you might have just worked at a job for a long time, or maybe you've worked one job after another, and you've just worked and you've never just taken the time, maybe to update your resume or just take an accounting and see what skills you really do have. And a lot of times when you're doing these jobs, you may not think of some of the softer skills. You might only be thinking of the technical skills. To take an example from the question earlier, you might have been you might have been an auto mechanic. So you might have had your skills listed that are related to being an auto mechanic. But, if you're working at an auto repair shop, did you consider your skills such as customer service or sales, interpersonal relationships, and some of the softer skills that, time management and prioritization, project management, even just some of these little things that maybe were not directly in your job description or are even part of your technical skill set, but things that really are valued by the businesses and employers in LA County, specifically those ones that are in high growth industries. And then work importance profiler also is another thing which talks about more your values. And I think a lot of times it's important to take a step back and think about what is it that you value in your work and in your workplace, and importantly from your workplace. So do you want, is it a job where you want a lot of achievement, where you can reach these sort of very discernible and straightforward goals, and you can say, well, I achieved this today, I achieved this. Do you want more independence? Do you want recognition? Do you value relationships? Do you value having a lot of support? Do you value your working conditions? Sometimes it's really important when you are looking for a job or a new job. What are these things that you really want out of your next employer, because it is important, because if the workplace doesn't necessarily reflect your values, it could get very boring very fast, or you might not uh, feel as encouraged to go to work. And I think it's very important to think about the type of workplace environment you have, and those values. And most importantly, when you get to that interview, these are questions that you can actually ask the interviewee, the interviewer as the interviewee. You know, what kind of support is there? What kind of learning opportunities are there? What kind of growth opportunities are there? All great questions, and they all sort of derive from these this set of values that you have when it comes to work. So California Career Zone, if you go ahead and you Google that, you will be able to jump into that and just take and explore. It's definitely a great tool. It also actually includes some tools related to just wage and cost of living. There are other tools like that, which are very helpful. So maybe you've done all of these and you found out a little bit more about yourself. You know what your interests are, you know what skills you have, you've explored and you've done the work profiler, and now you know what your work values are. So you want to get a little bit more technical, and you want to get a little bit more in depth. So this is where the State Employment Development Department, Occupational Guides and Profiles can really help you. This is where you can actually dig deep into each occupation and find out things like the education requirements, the number of jobs, the really technical, and the data. You know, it could be a lot of numbers and it could be very overwhelming, but there is some really crucial information in there. So you could find out, you know, what are the education requirements for the job? You know, how many years of work experience do you typically require? Does this type of job typically require? Is it a management level position? Is it something entry level? What are the primary skills that this job requires? And then you can take a match and see if your skills match over, because maybe you don't have the 5 years of work experience directly in that position or in the positions on that career pathway, but you might have something similar. And that's why it's really important, again, and I can't emphasize this enough, to take an accounting of your skill set and your values and everything that you've done in the past, because a lot of times there's stuff from these past skills, from these past jobs, that really do cross over nicely to other occupations when you are looking for that job. I saw another question pop up. Are there EDD offices in Pomona? We do have the America's Job Center of California, which is co-located with an EDD office in Pomona. It is actually called the Pomona Valley AJCC, and it is in Pomona. I don't have the exact address offhand, but that is something that we can provide to Oleg, and it'll be part of the material that's sent out. And actually, it is at the end of the slide. So at the end of the slide deck, now that I'm remembering that. So you will be able to see that when we get to it. So again, just looking through, again, wages, job outlook, education, and licensing requirements for these jobs. And it's very, very crucial. And just to give you an overview of some of the things that you might find, it gets into details such as this. You have the top growing occupations in certain areas. So for instance, you know, in the health industry, you might have the top growing occupations such as personal care aides, statisticians, physician assistants, occupational therapy assistants. These are just some of the growth that you can see over the next 10 years. You can see how many jobs there were in 2018 and how many jobs there are going to be in 6 years, and the percent change. So there is going to be a major growth in a lot of these areas. And again, just a lot of data here. And I won't spend too much time on this. We won't go one by one, but you can see this is just ordered by the percent of growth here. And you can see that for a lot of these positions, even though there's not very many, maybe now, there's going to be a big growth here in Los Angeles County in the thousands. over the next 10 years. The population is definitely not going to decline probably anytime soon. So with that, that's why we encourage these high growth industries, because a lot of these industries, not only even working the industries, it's all the support that supports these industries. And that's why there are going to be plenty of opportunities. So it really is just about finding those job opportunities that are really going to help boost you. In fact, it looks like we're actually a bit out of schedule, and I actually do want to show you the labor market information page where you can find some of this data. So I'll just drag it over here. And so again, just very straightforward with EDD, labormarketinfo.edd.ca.gov gives you just the overall view of the state. So my suggestion is that while you can go in any number of directions here, if you're a job seeker, you can jump right here and then it'll give you and help you out and get you right to the tools. Personally, what I like to do though is I like to look locally, because again, these are high growth industries that are here in LA County. And so things are going to be different. I mean, quite frankly, the industries that are growing here in Los Angeles County are probably not going to be the same that grow in, say, the Central Valley, where there's a lot of agriculture. So, you know, you want to look at, clicked actually on the wrong. You can look at the statewide profile, but really important to look here at counties. And then you can see lots of different information. So this is the Los Angeles County profile. You can get a lot of information on different information, but here is what we're talking about here today: the employment projections by industry and occupations. So you can again see some of the different growing occupations, and you can sort it by the percentage change. Twice to get the top. And again, you can see some of the growth. And again, there are some where the numbers are lower, but over time, you can see that personal care and service occupations, 110,000 jobs over the next 10 years are going to grow. And again, every occupation you want to think of as an opportunity to grow within a career pathway. So if you're in the health industry, or if you're in one of those high growth industries, it'll be a big help for you. But these are the different areas. And yeah, really a wealth of information. I understand it can get a little technical, and I would say, like, in some cases can get a little bit dry, but it's really simple: labormarketinfo.edd.ca.gov. And I can't emphasize enough that while these are available to you anywhere where you have internet, our AJCCs and our AJCC staff all understand this, and we go over this data with them consistently. We talk about these different resources and these different sites, whether it's this or the California Career Zone. They understand how to use all these tools because they do it every day, and that's what they're there for. So if you just need help getting even a start, you can visit one of the AJCCs, and we'll get to that at the end, where you can locate and how you can get there, and how you can even just find out more. But they are there to help you, and they will help you navigate through all of this information, which understandably so, if you're an individual and you're just, maybe it's been a while since you've looked for a job, or maybe you're just brand new to the job market in general, this can be a lot. But that's why the AJCCs are there. They're there to help. They're there to walk you through step by step exactly how to get through. And it looked like we had a lot of data here. So again, just a lot of data over from that EDD site. Now, with the pandemic, there was also something that we worked with the LA County Economic Development Corporation. We commissioned them to help us write a report on what LA County was going to look like in terms of, projections over, as we recover. So as I mentioned before, you take that assessment to take an accounting of your different skills. So we wanted to discuss a little bit the skills that are found in job postings. So really, again, these are occupations and they're very specific, but as I mentioned earlier, you might have a skill set that you didn't know you had or that you do have, and you didn't know how transferable it was. So this next slide is important because these are the skills that when they look through all the different job postings at all the different sites, they looked and they used their data management to do. These are the different things that came up as soft skills and technical skills. Now, technical skills, are obviously more, well, they're technical. We call them hard skills in workforce as well. But Microsoft Office, so that's your Microsoft Word, knowing how to use that, knowing how to use Excel, knowing how to use PowerPoint. It's almost an absolute must, and that would include, Google Docs, Google Sheets, and all of the things that you do in the in Google Suite. All of that, just understanding word processing and spreadsheets, even at a bare minimum. Coding languages are becoming increasingly popular. There are a lot of resources out there to, do this. This is a bit more complex, and it's definitely not for everyone. And then database, same thing. That might be working with something called Salesforce, if you've ever heard of that. Adobe Suite, another thing that's like Photoshop and Illustrator, like graphic design. So technical skills, those popped up a lot in job postings. And just as a note, the numbers aren't here, but Microsoft Office by far was the most. So really, it is good to have a grasp on, word processing, a basic understanding of spreadsheets. And the more you know, obviously, the better off you are. But what I wanted to focus on more were the soft skills. These are skills that, again, are not necessarily, technical. They're things that can apply across multiple areas. Customer service, scheduling, sales, budgeting, project management. All of these different things were found across a multitude of occupations in a multitude of industries, because they're just things that are going to help you out regardless of what you're doing. Scheduling can work in so many different admin areas, but even just in general, just understanding how to look at people's schedules and understanding where things fit in, especially when you deal with more and more people. How do things fit in? Budgeting is another thing. A lot of times a small business might need someone to wear many hats. So understanding budgeting and just understanding the basics of, finances and how to split things out. And obviously right here at the top, these actually are ordered in the number of times they were found in job postings. Customer service. Now, when we actually say customer service, it's not necessarily just the traditional customers. We're not talking necessarily just retail or those at a restaurant and how to deal with the public customers. Because if you have good customer service, a customer could be anyone. It could be someone that your business works with. It could be your other employees. Maybe you're a manager and you need to work closely with the accounting department. In that case, and if you need something, that accounting department staff is in essence going to be sort of your customer. And just understanding just how to interact and the soft skill around people person, and never underestimate the power or the importance of those interpersonal relationships. And you can see that it pops up here: customer service, sales, customer contact. Those are all just, working on your people skills. And again, our AJCCs are very aware of the different resources out there that can help, even just with some of those customer service basics. Plenty of importance, plenty of resources out there. And I know for a lot of people, they might think, well, customer service, pretty obvious. It's not always as evident to everyone. So you got to understand that sometimes people just might not understand some of those, like the nuance behind it. So there are resources to help with all of this. And we're going to get into some of the things that we actually do at the AJCCs that were actually recently added to our AJCC system to help with all of these different things. But before that, something that we like to take a look at in our at our AJCCs is before enrolling into a workforce development program, one of the main workforce development programs. that's available to anyone, just about anyone, is called WIOA, the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, which is a federally funded program. And if you go to local CalJobs, there are two sites, one called the ETPL, but the one that we use locally is called iTrain. That'll actually show you all the training providers that are eligible for training funding. So the AJCCs can actually fund your training completely if you find something here on iTrain. I'll see if I can't click on that. I think this is another really important tool to use. So this is what iTrain looks like. If you are in need of training. And again, your AJCC staff are very well aware of how to use this. And for instance, we just saw a slide about customer project management. I think that'll be a little bit better. Right here, using this, you can just type in the course name is just going to be a keyword. So you could type in something like project management. And as soon as I type in project management, it starts to populate the different areas that have this. And look at that, right off the top, one of the top providers, just AAA Institute, Assistant Project Management and Business Processes. And these, because they're on this site iTrain, these can be fully funded by the AJCC. So you can come away and get a project management course certificate for completing these. And these will help you prep for the project management test. Here's one that's specifically for exam preparation that helps you prepare, because there is a certification for project management. And then if you want to be a little bit more specific, you can just use a certain zip code. So I'll use our office headquarters to see if there's anything close by. So nothing precisely in 90002.0. But you can also use the map function, so you can see what's a little bit closer to you when it comes to these different project management courses that are available. And you can see what's out there. So again, this is a great way to look through and see if an AJCC can fund the training. And this is only for Wioa. There are other programs out there that might be able to fund a training, even if it's not on here. But again, you'd have to talk to an AJCC staff about that to see if it's something that you could actually do. Oh, is there a training program to learn Photoshop, Illustrator, and forgot the last graphic program? So let me answer that first. So again, our AJCCs don't provide the training, and we actually don't provide the training, but again, through this, you can find that. So if I wanted to actually find out if there is something for Photoshop, I could just go ahead and type Photoshop right there. Or maybe another one is called Adobe. You can look for that. So there are a couple here, AAA Institute and New Horizons, as they just pop up here on the search. AAA looks like they do Adobe Premiere Pro. Premiere is a video editing software. And then there's also New Horizons, Adobe Certified Expert Web Specialist. So yeah, that's here. You can look on that. And I'm actually going to get into something that's going to help out with that a little bit too. Because we are launching some virtual trainings through our AJCCs that you can get through our AJCC staff. But again, you can look through here and see if there's any other courses out there. So what is the maximum dollar amount an individual and or business can receive from Wioa? And that is a good question from Andy. So within LA County, within AJCC through Wioa, a business or an individual can attend a training up to $7,500. So that is very important, because there are going to be some courses that exceed that limit. Of course, there are other areas for funding, such as Pell Grants, maybe even if the school is willing to give a discount. But Wioa, locally can fund up to $7,500. Businesses also have, we've asked our AJCCs to work directly with businesses, and specifically we try to have them work with businesses that are operating in those high growth industries. A lot of times, more and more we're seeing now businesses offering on the job training where you can get specialized training at an employer site, and the AJCC is helping reimburse those wages. So it's an incentive for the business to participate, because sometimes businesses simply just don't like, or there are no courses out there that fit their specific needs. And so in that case, they'll actually say, well, we want to do our own specific training because what we do is very specific at our business. And so that's where the AJCC steps in and tries to facilitate or broker an on-the-job training contract where this business will get the wages reimbursed and the individual will get paid the whole time they're doing this work while they get trained. And so there's an incentive for both the business and the new employee. And in that case, they're typically, the reimbursement varies. So there's not necessarily, I mean, there is a maximum amount for business, but it really just depends. And that's something that the business can talk through with the AJCC. And then finally, do you have a preschool teacher training? Well, we can look. A lot of times also is just understanding some of the keywords. So preschool could be early childhood education. And then here we do see some of this. So to answer Kate Tun's question, you see some just by typing in early childhood education. You see the listing here. And if you want to get a map of those select courses, you can see the different areas that will be offering some of these. So some at UCLA Extension, you can see right here, you can even see which ones are online. And it looks like that's completely online. West LA College does an apprenticeship program, which is great. So just a little bit about that. I think this is, again, one of the tools that you can use to see what's out there. And then, of course, something that's also very important is you do see you can look at their performance, but when you do speak with these schools, you do want to ask them, you know, whether they're placing people, you know, ask if you can talk to any recent graduates, if they have those testimonials. That's always very helpful. Because again, the school can only take you so far. Sometimes they do have job developers on site, and the AJCCs will help you find a job after you've completed the training. But again, the certificate is not necessarily going to be a magic key into a job opportunity. So something just to watch out for, and just something that you want to talk through the school. You know, what kind of support do these training providers offer after they complete the course? You know, you want to make sure that beyond that certificate, are they actually working closely with employers? Are they setting you up? Some training providers will go as far as to actually set interviews in advance, you know, and help you get placed as well at those jobs. But of course, the AJCC is there to support you in this employment path the entire time as well. And it looks like I'm seeing IT courses. Will a summary with the websites be emailed? Yes, it will. Recommended IT schools. We don't have recommendations. Again, you're going to want to search based on what's in your location and what's available, but you mentioned IT, so I can type in information technology. So information technology infrastructure, that's another one. There actually are a lot. Health information technology, IT fundamentals. So yeah, these are all out there. Network support specialist at New Horizons. It's just going in looks like in alphabetical order. So I'm just sort of reading off the top ones. But again, this site, you can see what courses are actually available for you out there. And once again, I can't emphasize enough that our AJCCs have a very strong grasp of iTrain and all of these resources. So really, if you just want to get started, I would encourage you very much to visit one of the America's Job Centers of California. And as I said, these job centers can find your first job, enhance your career. Maybe you work and you like your job, but you just want to grab some extra skills. They can maybe set you up with the training that way. There are other resources online that can help you. Maybe gain experience. Again, like I said, there's on-the-job training and there's other work experience programs for specific populations where you might just be placed on site, get wages right away, and it'll just be a chance to kind of build your work experience to fill your resume in and also to prepare you for a new career. Yeah, we have a very big network across here, LA County. And so our AJCCs network of contacts with businesses across the county, AJCCs can connect you with these different businesses and help get you placed. But also there offers career services, different languages. Again, those career exploration and skills assessment tests, different training options, which we've just reviewed. And then obviously the end goal is always to place you in a job where you are self-sufficient and it's a long-term career pathway. So a lot of times, we do refer to the individuals who walk through the doors as job seekers, but also sometimes as customers. And while we do aim to provide customer service, unlike a business and a typical customer business relationship, our goal is to not have repeat customers. We only want to see anyone who comes through the AJCCs, we only want to see them one time because we want to know that that first time we did our job and that we gave them all the tools they needed to succeed so that they can be self-sufficient and placed in a long-term career that's fulfilling and something that's going to help them grow into themselves. And even if that specific job doesn't work out, we want to make sure that our AJCCs are prepping the individuals to be prepared for the job market. We want to introduce job seekers to all of these tools so that even if something happens at their next job, whether it's life, a layoff, whatever, that you still feel prepared with all knowing about the tools and the different resources that you can get out there on your own and find that next job for yourself. So yes, we say customers and we emphasize customer service, but we do not want repeat customers, because if we are doing our job correctly, you are going to be a one-time customer. And then again, we provide expert guidance. There are so many different populations. Maybe you have a specific need or you come from a specific background. If you're a veteran, if you happen to have a disability, if you're economically disadvantaged, you're low income, maybe you're mid-career and again, just looking to transition, or you're a recent graduate. Number of different opportunities. So we wanted to talk just a little bit about the general Wioa adult eligibility criteria, which again is very straightforward. This is for adults 18 or older, but we have youth programs that start from when you're 14 years old. So, but generally 18 years or older. Are you authorized to work in the US? That means, do you have a driver's license and a social security card? Do you need help with that? The AJCC can help with that too. But if you are authorized to work in the United States, meaning that if you've worked here in the United States, then you should have that. Don't even necessarily need to be a citizen, just are you authorized to work in the United States? That's the general criteria. If it's applicable, if you're a male, it is federally funded, and like financial aid and so many other federally funded programs. If you're a male born basically 1960s or later, are you registered for the selective service or the draft? And then this criteria program also applies to the dislocated worker program for those, and that's a Wioa program for people who have been recently been part of a major layoff. And then again, just this note here, other workforce programs are available as well. We speak a lot about Wioa because it's the one that almost undoubtedly applies to you. Other programs are specialized. Could be for someone who's recently on probation or recently laid off, but there are other workforce programs available. And again, the AJCC staff will help you. This website is relatively new, relatively recent, really simple to remember. It's just, you don't even need to type in the www. It's just ajcc.lacounty.gov. So you can definitely go and visit around there. I know we're short on time, so I just want to make sure we get through, but we can go back if we have some extra time. You can find some information. If you're a job seeker, you can just click right there. Really easy to navigate, and then a great tool to help you find the nearest AJCC to you. And then for everyone who was asking about the AJCCs, here's a complete list of them. This will be on the slide deck, but again, all of this information is also on the AJCC website. So please visit that AJCC website. Really easy to navigate. You'll find all of this information here. And for the individual who asked earlier, is there one in Pomona? This Pomona Valley AJCC right here on Holt, 1460 East Holt. And then you can call in advance if you'd like to schedule an appointment, or you can just walk in. Monday through Fridays, except holidays, generally everyone open from 8 to 5. And then some other AJCC resources. I mean, we've talked a lot about high growth careers and how to get into the AJCCs, but there are so many different things. They have resource rooms where you can just look at the different job postings for high growth careers, computers, printers, financial literacy, supportive services information just to help you. We're right in the process of launching online learning and upskilling modules, one called Big Interview, which is going to be accessible to everyone. It's a really, really neat software that helps you practice your interviews for different occupations too. So it's not general questions. You can find occupation-specific interview questions, and then it actually records you. It's a video interview. It'll record you, and then it'll actually give you a score based on an artificial intelligence scoring system about how well you did, and give you tips about how to adjust and how to improve your score. So it really looks at things like your body language and how slowly you're speaking, and just how you're able to answer the question. Another thing that's going to be launched recently, soon, very, very soon, is metrics learning. And this is something you'll need to actually visit an AJCC to talk about, which is basically that there are thousands of courses, from basic soft skills ones like customer service to technical skills one that can actually lead to an industry recognized certificate or a credential for things like A+ certification. So that's that IT certification that someone had asked about. Project management courses that help prep for the exam. So Big Interview, metrics learning, both are great tools that our AJCC system now has access to. So visit the AJCCs and they will help you navigate those. Again, I talked about some of the training services. So occupational skills trainings, those are those vocational skills trainings like we talked about with that iTrain site. On the job training where you're actually working on site at a business. Can also help out with supportive services like work clothing, tools, transportation, IT devices, laptops, phones. We've had individuals get that if that helps them. And again, if it ties to their job search, can help with that. Dependent care, so many different things. And then of course, follow-up services, obviously transitioning into a new job isn't always the easiest. And so our AJCCs are there to support you once you found that job. So that is an important aspect too. So I know a lot of information, but we'll open it up now for some questions. If anyone has any, you can type them into the Q&A. We've been seeing them come in regularly through there. And I've seen a couple come into the chat, but I'm not sure if anyone has any questions. I see one just pop up now. Oh, someone asked, is there a placement requirement for Wioa training dollars? If so, does the client have to return the funds? Okay, let me answer the second question first, which is no, the client does not ever have to return the funds. So please don't let anyone say that you have to return the funds. That is taken care of by the AJCC completely. So that actually speaks to a larger point, which is that the AJCC will help with with all of this, you're not going to be working out necessarily. You are working with the AJCC. The AJCC will make the transition as easy as possible and the transaction as easy as possible. So don't worry about having to figure out the details of financing and calculating how many hours, whatever it might be. Don't worry about that. And then is placement a requirement for Wioa training dollars? Well, we do want to ensure that these training dollars are leading to placements. Obviously it is nice to get trained, but we do want to make sure that if you're training, and this is something you talk about with your career planner, that this is the right fit for you. And again, that's why they do all the assessments. Really want to make sure that your values align, that your skills align, and that your interests align. Because you might think a training is something that is ideal. Maybe you had a friend tell you about it, or it's been your dream job. You've always wanted to do that training. But really, like, it is good to just take an assessment and think about your interests, your values, and that's what those assessments can help do. So we do want we want these trainings to lead to permanent placements. But in that sense, they're not a requirement. You would never be required to return training dollars. If you go to a training, your main job at that point is to finish the training, do all the assignments and complete it and finish out the course. But you are not going to be required. There's no contractual obligation on your end to work for a certain company, beyond that. Again, it's always going to be up to you. And you are welcome.
Thanks, Christian. That was a very informative presentation, dense and interesting. And the good thing is that people will be able to review the slides, and I'll include your email also on the follow-up email. So if anybody wants to have ask you a question directly, they can always email you. But we still have time. So if anybody has any questions, we're gonna just let you have this moment to collect your thoughts and let us know if you do have a question. Put that in the Q&A or the chat. We're monitoring both areas.
You're welcome. Yes, again, as Oleg said, yeah, very dense. There's a lot of information out there, and I think as a job seeker, it can be, the job market can be overwhelming. Where do you even start? What do I even type into CalJobs or Indeed when I'm looking for a job? Because maybe I don't want to do the job that I have anymore. So where would I start? And again, that's what these assessments are for. And actually, I will just jump back to that slide really quickly, because let's get to it. Yeah, I would say if you're uncertain, I would start here, California Career Zone. And then I do see that Victor is saying a little bit more about on-the-job training. So that's something that those training agreements where you're actually working at the business, those are created by our AJCCs alongside with the local businesses. So you would want to visit your local AJCC and to see if they have any available on-the-job trainings, because they would have sort of negotiated or worked with the businesses in their area to create those on-the-job training agreements, and then they're going to start looking for the right fit. So if you do have those start with the business. So unless the AJCC has the existing agreement with that business, they just won't be there. So it really is on the AJCC. But excuse me, maybe you know a business, or even if you're a business owner and you're here, you can work with a local AJCC and say, hey, this is the type of employee that I'm looking for. I don't see any training courses that train the way that we do. And so we'd like to start an on-the-job training. And the AJCCs are also there to help businesses just staff, whether it's through these on-the-job trainings or just regularly. That's something. So if there is a business you have in mind, you can talk to the AJCC, see if they have a relationship with the business in an on-the-job training, or talk to the business if you have that kind of relationship, and see if they've worked with their local AJCCs and get those started. And there are some programs for older adults. Again, Wioa is something that's available to anyone 18 and up. So You know, you don't need to necessarily look for something that's specifically going to serve older adults. There are so many programs out there that serve just older adults as a whole, and all different types of people with different backgrounds. There is one program that is for older adults, though it's a little bit smaller, just to be frank. And typically there's a wait list for it. It's called Title V. So they do exist, and you can definitely visit an AJCC for more. But with our recent department split, it might be operated a little bit differently. But yeah, I mean, there are definitely programs. Let me just look at the chat.
In the chat, there was looks like Spanish language, Spanish learning courses. So
Yeah. Again, there are going to be, you can visit the iTrain site to see if there's anything for Spanish. A lot of times we do actually in Pomona have a pilot English language learner program. So for those actually going the other way who only speak another language besides English, this kind of helps with vocational. As far as Spanish, that's honestly not one that I've heard of traditionally, although again, you can visit the iTrain site to see if there are any Spanish language courses available. I also see from Kay, child development, a degree, but you can't find a job. In your case, I would definitely have you go to the AJCC website, connect with your nearest AJCC, and have them get you started from there. No experience in the US and English is second language. Yes, absolutely. If English is your second language and you have no experience, this is where the AJCC can really step in and help you even just modify your resume. Little tweaks to your resume can help with that. But you know, I know that that's not the only reason, but definitely connect with the AJCC and they'll be able to help you with that. But again, these are all sort of the baseline tools that'll really help you get into these high growth careers. Again, because that was the topic of today's presentation, is we really want to make sure that, again, we don't want repeat customers. And that's why we emphasize these high growth careers. You know, you want to be working for an industry that's going to be here, not only here, but growing in the next 10 years, 15 years. You know, so we really emphasize that you find those. So really it's taking an accounting of yourself, your interests, again, your skills and your values, and then seeing where those match with different industries and occupations here that are growing, because that is going to definitely be the key to the long-term self-sufficiency.
Sounds good, Christian. Thank you. Yeah, it's amazing how many services the AJCCs have at no charge. Anybody who walks in can get really a wraparound service in terms of job seeking, getting a job, follow up after you get a job. So thank you for sharing I think just a sliver of that really with us, just a small portion of what the AJCCs offer.
Yeah, absolutely. I cannot emphasize enough that, yeah, connecting with one through our website is going to be the best way to start, and they'll give you all the information depending on your specific situation, because not everyone's the same. I mean, no one has the exact same journey, and so really that's the key, is really that individualized sort of attention and that customer service. Funnily enough.
Sounds great. Well, there are no further questions, and the folks know that they're going to get this, the presentation link to this recording, and then the presentation is in the slides via email, probably early next week. And with that, thanks again, Christian, and to everybody, thank you very much for sticking with us and being here at this program. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, Oleg, for the invite, and good luck to everyone. Thank you.